Jai Sachidanand, everybody. Respected aspirants and premis, the devotees. Now we have started, again we are having a spiritual discourse today. And really, spirituality is something essential for our life. If we don't understand spirituality, the life remains incomplete. Because as I said before, physical science and spiritual science are two parts of our body, like the two legs of our body. And if one leg is working properly, one leg is not working properly, we'll be limping. And so the one who is expert, who is educated both in the spiritual science and the physical science, he enjoys this world. But the one who is lacking in one of the sciences, he'll be limping, he'll be suffering in this world. Actually, the Creator didn't create this world for suffering. He created this for enjoyment. Let everybody enjoy this world. Because it was a game, a play. And whenever there is a game, whether it is a cricket game or a football game or a tennis, whatever game it is, we watch or play that game to enjoy, not to suffer. Of course, sometime in the games, the one who wins the game, he enjoys more. And the one who loses the game, sometime he repents, he suffers. So actually this game was for enjoyment. If you know the system, if you understand the system, and that understanding will come through spirituality. That's what is said in the scriptures. The understanding to understand the scriptures. Slowly, when we are regular in spiritual discourses, we will develop our understanding, and that understanding will help us in our whole life. Actually, there is a difference between spiritual discourse and the storage, spiritual storage. Spiritual, the stories, the different history, or so to say. We listen of Mahabharata, Ramayana. From that we get so many, noble ideas, character building. So many, we get educated from them also. But the understanding that we need of spiritual science, that comes through spiritual discourses, what we call in simple language satsang. Because there is a difference between those stories, the kathas, and the satsang. What's the difference? Let me clear that one. When I just had learned this spiritual meditation, somebody talked to me about these spiritual discourses, the satsang. And he told me one unique thing, that if you listen to satsang attentively, the word attentive is very, very important. So what some audience people do, they are listening to satsang also, the spiritual discourse, and doing some other work also. This is not like that, Unless and until you listen to spiritual discourses with total concentration, I am using the word total concentration, it will not pierce, it will not go in your heart, it will not affect you, and you will not be benefited from that. So, spiritual discourse, satsang, is such a thing in which we have to listen it with total concentration, so that we can understand what is being said. I was today talking about Ved Vyas and Ganesha. When Ved Vyas was to write a book, spiritual scripture, a spiritual book, he wanted somebody to write that. And he asked Ganesha to do that job. He will be speaking and Ganesha will be writing. Lord Ganesha said, okay, I'll do that. But there is a condition. When I am writing, if you stop speaking, then I'll also stop writing, then I am not going to write further. So it should be continuous, so that my time is not wasted. Ved Vyas said, okay. But there is one condition from me also. Whatever you write, When I speak, wherever you write with understanding. Unless and until you understand what I spoke, don't write it. So what Vedvyas used to do when he was short of some slokas, used to speak such a slok to get the meaning of that, to understand that Ganesha has to take more time. And by the time he used to create another sloka. So what I mean to say from this small story, that listening to discourse is good, but we have to understand it and then use it, follow it in our life, implement in our life. Unless and until we implement what we have heard, what we have understood, it remains of no use to us. I heard about a medicine, I have to take the medicine and I have to use it, take it regularly and with the precautions, whatever has been said, then my disease will be cured, I'll be benefited from that. Similarly, spiritual discourses. We have to listen to it, understand it and implement in our life. So that person told me that there is a unique miracle in this spiritual discourse. I said, what is that? He said, you just go and listen to satsang regularly. Whatever doubts are within you, whatever questions are within you, you will get all the answers and solutions without asking. I said, how it is possible? The speaker doesn't know what is in my mind, how can he? And there are so many people sitting there. Not only I will not be sitting there to listen, there will be hundreds of people listening to the discourses. How can my questions and my doubts be cleared? He said, no, it happens. You just try it. So, first we have to, for experimentation, once we have to believe. Maybe temporarily, but we have to believe what he is saying. We started going to satsang, to the spiritual discourses, and it happened. The doubts were cleared, the questions were answered without asking. So another question came within me, how it is happening? The speaker doesn't know what's in my mind. How could he talk about that very thing which I needed? Slowly, gradually, I got the solution, that actually the real spiritual discourse is that in which the speaker doesn't plan that I'll speak this thing. Because on that day, who are the audience? He doesn't know. And what they need to listen, he doesn't know. So in actual spiritual science, spiritual discourses, the speaker has to be blank. And generally speakers are blank. The real spiritual speakers are blank. They don't plan. So that whatever is going to be given on that day, that will has to come automatically. And then that speech, that discourse affects the audience of that day. This is the miracle of spiritual science. So, if we keep listening to spiritual discourses regularly, gradually, not in a day, our understanding will become crystal clear. We'll be able to understand what I have to do, how I have to do. And then when we do it, our life will be a beautiful life. Get rid of all the sufferings and enjoy this life spiritually. So, dear friends, actually, we have to listen to satsang regularly because the spiritual discourses do two things. One, it clears our doubts, and unless our doubts and questions are cleared, we can't meditate properly because if you have doubt about something, you will not be able to do it properly. If you are crystal clear that yes, this is very, very important for me, not only important, this is essential for me, then we do it with the total concentration, with total dedication. And that's why that clearance, that clarity must come with us, and that comes through spiritual discourses. When keep on listening One day, second day, third day, slowly, one by one, our all doubts will be cleared and we'll have a clear conception of the spiritual science. Secondly, what the spiritual discourse does, it brings renunciation, detachment from the worldly affairs within us, what we call in Hindi vairagya. You know, for salvation, for liberation, for total saturation, we have to be detached from the worldly pleasures, sensual pleasures. And we have to be satisfied within ourselves. And how that comes, that detachment, how it comes, there are 4 types of detachment. Because when Garuda, the devotee, asked Lord Vishnu that what is the most essential thing for liberation, Lord Vishnu said, unless and until a person develops detachment, he develops the renunciation within him, he is not going to have salvation. So detachment, disinterest in the worldly pleasures, because actually what we call the sensual pleasures, they are like painkillers, Suppose you have a pain somewhere in your body. You take a painkiller, it will relieve you for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever be the time. And again the pain will start. Again you take the painkiller. So Ayurveda says that this is not the solution. You find a medicine which can cure your pain permanently. And that's what is happening now. Our mind is unstable. We go in worldly, sensual pleasures like seeing a picture, listening something. In these worldly pleasures, sensual pleasures, we forget that mental instability and that is relieved for some time, like a painkiller that works. But again we feel unstable and they can't permanently stabilize or give happiness and peace to our mind. Suppose you see a picture and you say, I enjoyed this picture. If I ask you a question, who gave you enjoyment? It's a simple answer that the picture gave me enjoyment. But actually it is not so. If it is so, then when you see the picture second time, you don't enjoy that much. Why? The same was the picture, everything was same, but next time why didn't you enjoy the picture? Because your mind was not concentrated second time. Third time if you see the same picture, you feel bored. Why? You say, oh, I have seen this picture, now I feel bored. I need something new. First time, how the picture gave you enjoyment? Actually, the picture didn't give us enjoyment. The scenes and the dialogues were such that our mind got concentrated on that screen. And because of that concentration of mind, we enjoyed the picture. Next time, our mind was not so much concentrated on the screen, so we didn't enjoy. So actually, the enjoyment that we got first time, it was because of the concentration of mind, due to the concentration of mind. So actually, what is enjoyment? Was it happiness? Technically, if we talk about it, it is just level of concentration of mind. Mind has got 4 frequencies, vibration speeds, delta, theta, alpha and beta. Generally our mind, when we are awakened, it is in beta. And that's why we feel unstable. We desire peace, we desire stability. And when, through anything, temporarily when it goes to alpha, we feel enjoyment. But the worldly things will give temporarily enjoyment. They will temporarily may take your mind from beta to alpha. There is not a permanent solution. But when you understand spirituality and when you practice spiritual science, what we call meditation, then you can take your mind from beta to alpha regularly and permanently. And so, worldly pleasures are like painkillers, and the metaphysical meditation is like a herbal meditation which will not relieve your pain but will cure your pain. The pain of instability of mind. So, for that, we have to be detached, and that's why when Lord Vishnu said that unless you are detached, you have got disinterest in spiritual and sensual pleasures, you will not be able to have salvation. You are not fit for liberation. Then Garuda asked another thing: how many types of renunciation are there, and which one is the best for this liberation? Lord Vishnu says there are 4 types of renunciations. A person feels detached from the world. First is when he is the mother's womb, and when he suffers, he has got a feeling that when I come out in the world, I'll not be absorbed, I'll not indulge in worldly pleasures, I'll try to attain salvation, get liberated from these pangs of life and death. Birth, the cycle of birth, I would like to break this cycle. But when he comes out, he forgets that. And so that renunciation was temporary. Second time, when we go to some, a funeral place, and when we see this body burning, and after some time it's just that much of ash, like, when we burn some ghee or, butter, so when this fat burns, it's just like that. And this beautiful body turns into a bunch of grass. And that body became ash. At that time we feel, oh, one day my also body will be turned into ashes. And that's, why should I be only all the time indulge in bodily pleasures, care about the body? I must something think about the spirit, about the life after life, about the next life I should prepare. And that renunciation, that thinking comes. But after some time it vanishes. So it is also temporary. So it will not help you in salvation, Lord Vishnu says. Third is when you have some physical problem or some economic problem, and when you go through these physical or economic sufferings, at that time again you get a feeling that, oh, this world is just, it's full of sufferings. I should instead indulging in worldly affairs, I should look for God, I should look for peace, I should look for salvation. So that thinking comes, but Lord Vishnu says that is also temporary. Just now in this corona period, somebody must be having that kind of thoughts. Oh, this world is unreal, it's nothing, everybody is sitting at home. Some are enjoying also, those who are meditating, they are enjoying also. But those who doesn't know the way to meditate, one person was talking to me. I said, what are you doing? He said, seeing pictures, but how many pictures? He said, felt bored. Hundreds of pictures I've seen, now it's over to me. Because the mind, it is not satisfied with the worldly things. Once it will take, then it will leave it. Because it is trying to attain infinity. It is searching for infinity. And the worldly things, there is no infinity. So, some are enjoying, some are suffering during this corona period. And so, some must be having a type of renunciation that this world is unreal. This Maya is unreal. Let me search for the truth. But Lord Vishnu says, this will also come and go. So, these 3 types of renunciations are temporary. They will not help you in meditation. They will not help you in liberation. You must have a permanent type of renunciation, not these temporary types of renunciation. Then Garuda asks, how can I have that permanent renunciation? Because when Arjuna tells Lord Krishna that, oh Lord, you want me to control the mind, but I find it very, very difficult to control the mind. And I think it's impossible to control the mind. Lord Krishna says, no, Arjuna, there is possible. Through practice and renunciation, you can control the mind. But which renunciation is that which will help us in controlling the mind? Not these three types of renunciation which we talked earlier. So, we must have a permanent renunciation attitude. Then when Garuda asks Lord Vishnu, how I can have that permanent renunciation, permanent disattachment, disinterest with the worldly pleasures, how I can have that? In Hindi we say, permanent vairagya. Lord Vishnu says, that comes through satsang, that comes through spiritual discourses. When you are regular in spiritual discourses, and when you develop love, devotion in spiritual discourses, then slowly that quality will come within you. Slowly you will develop such a disinterest in worldly pleasures that they will not attract you. Maharaji gives example, another example, He says, suppose you are hungry and you are going in the market. So any sweet shop, any hotel you will see, food you will see, you will think of, you will have a desire to eat those foods. And you will be looking after the different foods. But from at home, if you have fully saturated, fully eaten and you are totally satisfied, your hunger is satisfied, full stomach, then when you go in the market, you don't look after the foods in the hotels and everything because you are full up. So actually, when through meditation we become full up inside, the worldly pleasures, the worldly attractions will not affect us. So anyway, Lord Krishna says that through renunciation and practice you can control the mind. So which renunciation is that one? The permanent one. And that comes only through spiritual discourses, listening to spiritual discourses, listening to satsang. And slowly when we regularly listen to satsang, a love for satsang develops. And when the love for satsang, spiritual discourse develops, naturally that renunciation, the permanent renunciation, manifests in our life. Love word is a beautiful word. If you develop love for satsang, it's a great achievement. Because when Lord Rama was talking to Bhilni about 9 steps of devotion, he said the first step, Navda Bhakti, he said. Navda Bhakti means 9 steps are there. As you know, 1, 2nd, 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, you go finally to the 9th floor. He said the first step is listen to satsang. And then second step is when you develop love for satsang. So when we regularly listen to spiritual discourses, slowly we develop a love for satsang. And so then what you speak will affect others also. I had read an incident of foreign countries, In London, London, UK, there was a jewelry shop. And one of the artists from India, a woman artist, some actress was that, Sivan, and she went to the jewelry shop. And one diamond she liked very much. So the salesman noticed that she's liking this diamond. And he explained about the diamond beautifully. And she listened also attentively to that, what the salesman spoke. But still, she didn't have the desire to purchase that diamond. And she was coming back. By the time the owner of that shop reached there, and he came to know that this woman was interested in this diamond, but she is not purchasing it. He said to the woman, please give me 5 minutes. I want to tell something about this diamond. And when he talked about the diamond, just for a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, that woman purchased the diamond. But she was confused. She said, I can't understand. Your salesman explained about this diamond more beautiful than what you explained. But still, I didn't have the desire to purchase this diamond. And you explained only for a few minutes. And I purchased this diamond. What was the reason behind it? I couldn't understand. The owner smilingly said, Madam, there was a difference. My staff, the salesman, he explained beautifully to you about the diamond. But he doesn't have a love for diamond. I love diamonds. And that's why when I explained to you, it affected you and you purchased it. Story is very small, friends, but it has a very deep meaning. When you develop love for spirituality, when you develop love for the spiritual master, then your own meditation and your performance is far, far superior. But that love comes when we are regular listening. And that miracle also we experience in life. That slowly all our doubts will be cleared. All our questions will be answered without asking. Sometimes it feels like that. Whoever is speaking, but we'll feel like that today's program, today's spiritual discourse was just for me only. Of course, it was not that, but we feel sometime like that. That's the beauty of spiritual discourse. Because in spiritual discourse, a speaker never plans. If he's planning, then that may not be the spiritual discourse, the true spiritual discourse. In a spiritual discourse, let him plan what is to be spoken that day. And then the audience of that day will enjoy that. One Mahatma Ji was there, he used to say, sometime even I used to plan that I'll speak this thing. But when I used to get up to speak, something else used to come. And if somebody else is guiding me. And actually, it's a fact. There is always thy will and my will. So, always a devotee prays to the Master, to the Almighty. Oh Lord, let thy will prevail. Lord, Saint Assis prayed the same thing. Oh God, let me be an instrument of thy will. Where there is instability, let me bring peace. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. So, whatever you desire, let it manifest, let it happen through me. So we should try to be an instrument of thy will. And you know, if we go with our will, we suffer. It says man proposes, God disposes. If you learn, and if you could learn this technique to work as per thy will, we live a perfect and a satisfactory life. So now that how it comes, we have two parts of the brain. The logical brain, in the logical brain is my will. We plan and we try to do accordingly. That cosmic plan is not come through the left brain. That's we call the conscious mind. But when our mind is with the right part of the brain, with the right brain, then it becomes a subconscious mind. Then it gets the signals from the cosmic server and comes to know what thy will is. And that when devotee starts working as per thy will, his actions are different, his actions are enjoying, it gives enjoyment to him also and to others also. They are beneficial for him also and for the society also. So we should try to have that, bring that quality within us to work as per thy will. And for that we have to activate our right brain, the super thing within us. If you learn and if you understand about the right brain, it's a miraculous thing given to us by the God. And if you could combine the two brains together, synchronize the left brain and right brain, our brain can become a super brain. And that's what the potential is, the real potential within us. So friends, now the time is up. So we'll be meeting again tomorrow in the 7:30 to 8. And I hope this program will continue up to 2nd May. After that, I don't know what is thy will. So let's enjoy this satsang and attentively listen to satsang. Then after listening, let's think over what has been told today and then implement in our life. Then this satsang will manifest. It will in fully. Thank you everybody. Thank you very much.